Good morning, sunshine. Welcome to Morning Inspiration with Friends with our host, Miss Inspiration. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe as you sit back and listen. Good morning. We are back. We are back. Hope everyone is having an amazing morning. It is your girl Tanisha, your name is Inspiration. We are here with another episode of Morning Inspiration with Friends. Today's message is a little career-driven, career-centered. So I have our friends over on LinkedIn. They are joining us today. You all know, usually LinkedIn is not a part of this live. But because we are talking about the workplace and how it's changing and different skills that people should be working towards upgrading, I decided to add LinkedIn to this. So welcome LinkedIn to the conversation. So normally we go live on YouTube and my Facebook channels. So YouTube has all of the videos. Morning Inspiration with Friends has been happening since March of 2025. And I have been super consistent, which I'm so proud of myself, to go live every single day to inspire the people. And if I am unable to go live for like Thursdays, which is Throwback Thursdays, I will do replays for those weeks that I do take off, because we believe in self-care. We believe in work-life balance. And so there's even times that I have to step back and just take a breather so that I can focus on a lot of the other things that I need to focus on and continue to be able to show up every single day. But today's conversation is about the workplace. Now, I have been over on LinkedIn for a little bit, just paying attention to the different conversations that are happening. For those of you that may not know, professionally, I do a lot of different things. So I work mainly in higher education, but overall, I have 15 years in adult education, teaching from colleges, workforce programs, training centers, basically wherever they needed someone to facilitate or to teach adults. I was the person that they called. And I started to do this because life was lifing. Back in 2010, I needed an extra job. And despite me applying to Target, Macy's, McDonald's, none of those places were hiring. And I finally gave in and listened to my best friend, who suggested that I should go and start teaching. And I had just received my master's in 2009 and did not have a desire to teach, never wanted to be a teacher. However, when I taught my first class, that was when I realized this was something that I was missing and I should have been doing all along. But when I started to teach, I started teaching computer courses. So like computer concepts, computer applications, mainly the Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint. Those are the tools that I was teaching the college students and those who were in the workforce program. And while Microsoft is still one of the leading contenders, it is not the only place and it's not the only software applications that we need to know. And so over the years, as far as like computers, at least from my perspective, I'm noticing that, you now have organizations that are either going to be a Microsoft organization or a Google organization. So that is now becoming one of the big differences. So, there are people that only know Microsoft. But now when they go to a Google organization, they're very unfamiliar. They know Gmail, but they don't know the Google tools. Google Workspace is huge, it's constantly growing. They're always adding different tools that we can utilize. And so often I have found that my students that were going and they were learning Microsoft, they were going to the workplace, there was a disconnect. They were not able to figure out because there's like simple things such as like copying and pasting, copying a document from one folder to another in Google is not the same way that we would do in Microsoft. And so, I always tell my students now when I teach these courses, it's really, I'm trying to teach them to be able to go quickly from one platform to the other, start understanding that there's going to always be some minor differences, but to give them the tips and the tricks so that they'll be able to identify that. Like, this is very important. Now, the other thing that I do in adult education and higher ed is instructional design or learning designing. I recently, last week, I think it was on LinkedIn, someone had posted, a few people actually have been talking about this on LinkedIn about, like, with instructional designing. Traditionally, you had instructional designers. They were thinking about the framework. They were thinking about the alignment of learning objectives, different assessments. That's what really the focal point. What is the content? And then they would have the technical person who will work with the LMS platform, and that person will now help you to build and to make this activity, these assessments, all of these words and pictures that you might have, and organize them in a way that is going to make sense for the students. But we are now finding that more organizations are looking for a one-stop shop. So they're not looking for just a person that can organize, that can help you to define these learning objectives and help you to make great, engaging, interactive learning assessments. Learning assessments. And now they also want you to know all of the tools. They want you to know the LMS platforms, which is the learning management systems. They want you to know the ed tech tools. They want you to know how to troubleshoot them. And they want you to also to be a video editor or just a media editor as well. So now we're seeing more learning designers or instructional designers go in, and they're going into like LinkedIn Learning, for instance, and they are building where they don't have that strength. So I know for myself, as although you might see me play around with different AI tools, I do know how to do a little bit in like Photoshop, media, but that's not my forte. That's not the thing that I am really passionate about. But because I understood that the workplace and the trends were starting to change, it forced me to go and start really starting to get more acclimated with those tools, because it was putting me in a disadvantage, because I knew how to do all of the the learning objectives, the assessments. I can look at that, I can analyze it, and I can tell you if this assignment has enough rigor, if this assignment is meeting the actual age group, like all of those different components. I can show you how to build it in the LMS platform from start to finish. But now we still have that one missing piece was, here's a video, it needs to be edited. Tanisha, how do we edit this? I didn't know how to do that, right? Not to the level that my colleagues who were video editors, who are doing this on a daily basis. Like, some of them are actual film producers and film editors. So they're able to put these transitions and have the clouds, and it makes it look beautiful. But when I do it, it's just like, this looks nice. This is very basic, right? So we have to realize that if you are finding yourself in a space where things are not coming together the way that you want them, that way that you see them, in a way that you need them, because a lot of people, this is really at a space where it's a necessity, right? You have to work on upgrading your skills, learning new skills, because it is a necessity. Being now in this part of the country, I have realized that, like in New York, we have a big financial district. So we have a lot of people that have administrative skills because they need to support those financial advisors, those lawyers, all of those individuals. And so the need for learning computer skills and upgrading your computer skills, not just knowing the basic typing, but actually learning QuickBooks and other platforms that are going to be valuable. That's not necessarily the case in this particular region, like in Oklahoma. And so I'm like, wow, I think I'm looking at it now from a standpoint of when I first started. I was just like, everyone needs this, right? It doesn't hurt people to learn computers in some capacity, even at the very basic level. Because the one thing I do know, and the one thing that is confirmed that I did say correctly to my students, in almost every position, someone needs to utilize some form of a computer. It might be a tablet, it could be your phone, but you still need to learn how to use some of these softwares. And then that's the other part that started to really start to make sense, is that in this particular region, most people were familiar with using their mobile devices, but they're not familiar with using computers or using a laptop. So this is like a huge disconnect. And one thing that I said, I want to do is to start going back to those basics, giving people the basics, walking them through, helping them to understand so that they will be able to go into these interviews being confident that they are familiar, so that at least they may not know how to use Microsoft, but if they know Google Workspace enough, like really knowing how to integrate them together with Google Sheets and Google Docs, Google Slides with Google Sheets, it is going to give them a true advantage. Because again, if you know one platform, the other platform is very similar. They're just like, they're competitors. So they're going to compete for your attention. They're going to compete. And the one thing that I will say right now, Google is winning because Google, for the most part, it is free. Now there is paid versions. If you were to go into an organization right now and that organization had Google, 9 times out of 10 they are paying for that Google. Their Google Workspace is going to have more options. It's going to have more abilities. You're going to have more space. But for our free versions that we get when we sign up for our Gmail, and I know many of you have multiple Gmail accounts, but multiple of those accounts are not utilized the way that they actually intended. So I have decided to go back to teaching and teaching the courses through my business, Purposeful Training and e-learning consulting. I started this in 2020, and I started to do workshops even during that time. And at that time, I was really wanting to give people an opportunity to learn these skills, because everyone is not going to college. Everyone is not going to have the ability to go to XYZ University or college and take introduction to computer applications, where you are going to go extensively into Microsoft tools and learn every aspect of Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, even Access, depending on how advanced and what program you are in. You're not going to have that ability. There are some individuals who are going straight from high school straight into the workforce. So there's some schools that are not teaching them this. They're teaching them Google to the point of, hey, this is what I need you to know. You need to just know how to type this document into Google Docs, and you need to know how to share it. At least the students have an advantage of that if the school does that, because there's still some schools that do not utilize Chromebooks or do not utilize any form of like real technical on a daily basis. Now, students are still taking classes, but we're still seeing that they don't have the ability to literally sit at a computer, an actual device, and figure out how to maneuver, because they are utilizing mostly phones and iPads and tablets. So that's another transition that some people are really struggling with when they're trying to go into these, office settings, or even if you're working in a warehouse, they have settings and tools. And like I said, if you master one, you start to realize and you start to figure out how to maneuver and figure out the other ones, because they're all similar. They're not going to be identical, but they are going to all be similar. They're going to use similar terminologies. And as long as you start to know what the terminologies are and how to find them, then you are going to be ahead. So that's really the purpose of the course that I'm doing. So it's called Google Workspace for Everyday Success. It is a 4-week, 4 weeks. Every week is 90 minutes. We go through exactly the different concepts that you are going to face. So we're starting with Google Drive, because that is the heart of every aspect of that platform. Your Google Drive, if you know how to organize it, if you know how to find it, if you know how to access it, even when you're not on the internet, that is going to be beneficial for you, especially if you are trying to, travel, maybe on a train and the internet is flaky. You still will have access to your tools and you can still get your work done. So these are the things that I want to teach you. Then it's going to go into Google Docs, Google Sheets. We're going to following week, we're going to look at Google Slides, and then we're going to even tap into some of the other tools that you might be asked to utilize, like Google Forms. Some of you might need to do surveys for your staff, collect information, and it's really helpful if you know how to go in there and how to make that Google form, how to access the information, how to share it properly so that every time you share it out, you can get the results and the information that you need back without having complications and pauses in the operations of your work. I also am going to teach the terminologies. So there's things like KPIs. If you've never heard of a KPI, you're probably looking at a job description, you're seeing that term, and it's probably intimidating because you don't know what that means. KPI has to do with the data. What is the data? We need numbers, right? So where you're going to look for numbers, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be looking for numbers in Google Sheets. I'm going to help you to understand what that means. So you're not going to just learn Google Sheets and how to insert a formula. No, you're going to look at the most common formulas that we utilize. We're going to look at some data, because the reality is you are going to walk into a situation that there's already established data, right? It's very uncommon that you're going to walk in and you're creating all brand new documentations. So there will be some automatic. There will be some documents that you're going to walk in. You're going to have to update them. You're going to have to be able to read them, decipher what it is that the person who is requesting information from you, so that you will know how to read that spreadsheet accurately to give them the numbers and the information that they need, so that the process can continue to go and everyone can be productive. So I really am helping people who would really need this upgrade, who have little to no computer experience, who have little to no experience. You might have a computer, you might have, you might have a computer, you might have a Chromebook, but you just don't know what else to do with it, right? I'm the person to help you with that, because I want those people. Because as we get older, your body gets tired. If you are a blue collar worker, you might not necessarily want to keep doing that. Knees are bad, back is bad, elbow. Look at me. I mean, this is an office injury. I have. I'm not claiming carpal tunnel, but my wrist is hurting. So and I've been on a computer for all my life, pretty much since I was like 15 years old typing. So to be 41 and to now needing a brace, I think I did pretty good. But I just want us to get these tools, get these lessons, and to really start taking it serious, right? So I want you to evaluate where you are in your industry and what is changing. What don't you know? And then I want you to make a plan of how you can start to advance those skills. So it might be learning a new platform, see if the platform has a free trial. Download it, play with it. There's nothing but tutorials. Sometimes you're going to hear terms like knowledge base, depending on what platform you're working on. Some of them have a knowledge base that you have access to. Go through those knowledge bases and figure out how to use it. Or you can just join a class like I'm teaching next week. And like I said, it's a 4-week class. There is still spots for our early bird. You can definitely sign up. It is $79 for early bird. And I'm just going to put it out there, right? But $79, you get access to the course for 120 days after the completion. So you can always go back, look at the review, look at the recordings. You can always go back and look at the tools, the conversations, the notes. Like, this is the actual course. But it is not going to be the in-depth. You're not going to get a textbook, because I'm not a part of any. I'm not going to give you a Pearson book. We're not going to get Cengage. This is going to be the information that you need to be successful. And I just expect you to just show up with an open mind, with an open heart, ready to learn, ask questions. The more that you engage, the more that you get out of it, right? If we get to the 90-minute mark and people still have questions and we're still engaging, I don't have a problem going to 2 hours, because this is going to help you. This is going to help you be successful. So you have to look at that and you have to start saying, okay, what am I willing to invest? And like I said, LinkedIn Learning has great resources, amazing courses that you can definitely take part in. You have Udemy, what's it, Coursera. There's so many platforms. So you can get self-paced, live instructions, one-on-ones with someone. I used to do that back in like 20, but I still do it. Whenever someone needs it, I still will work with them one-on-one and learning one of the softwares. Actually had a client, he needed to know the more advanced skills in PowerPoint. Worked with him for about 2 months, and he was able to create the kind of PowerPoint that he wanted. And this was when Microsoft had just did a major update. So PowerPoint had now added all of these other features, and it really helped him a lot. And so I share that because so often people are like, well, no one wants to sit with me on a one-on-one basis. There are people like myself, I'm building my team so that we can be a resource and an asset to those individuals and organizations that are ready to say, you know what, it's time to make an update. We need to upgrade our skills. We need to really start figuring out how to properly utilize these things, how to utilize these tools that we are paying for already, because you're paying for them. Whether you're paying for them as an individual subscriber or you're paying for them as a member of an organization, we need to know how to utilize them, because that is going to increase our productivity and help us to be a lot more efficient. So if that is something that you're interested in, definitely click the link down below, grab one of those early bird specials before the prices go up. And I do have a special where 5 people can add on to work with me one-on-one in addition to the 4 weeks. So you would get 2 one-on-ones with me, and this can go a little bit slower, really like tackle any true issues that you're struggling with, or you just want to learn how to do something else that is, that's a part of the class or might not be a part of the class. It's really up to how you want to utilize those two one-on-one sessions. So I am your girl Tanisha Shanae. Stay tuned because I have a brand new outro that I wanted to premiere today. And like I said, I hope to see you in class. And tomorrow is Thursday, so check out our Throwback Thursday. And LinkedIn, thank you for being here with us. And please definitely come over to YouTube and join us every day. We do this Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. ish. Okay. Sometimes it's at 7, sometimes a little bit later than 7 o'clock. But we are in the 7 a.m. Hour Central Time. But you can always come back and watch the replay, and you can always hashtag replay. So I know that you were here even though you were not here live. And that's okay too. But hit that like and that subscribe, and I hope to see you all soon. Have an amazing day on purpose. With purpose.
Wow, Tanisha, that was a powerful message. I hope everyone was blessed by today's message. Listen, if you are not tuned in, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Meet us for morning inspiration with friends every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. ish CT time. See you next time, friend.